Hi, this is Shauna, your sewing Sherpa at Needles and Knots, and I'm going to show you how to thread your sewing machine and sew a seam. So first of all, you're going to put the spool of thread on the spindle. If you have a horizontal feeder, you're going to need to put a cap on. The cap should correspond to the size of your spool. You're going to go past a thread guide. Again, all machines thread the same, it's just where the thread guides are at. We're gonna go past the tension area. I know it's a tension area. I've got my tension disc there. I'm gonna go around, then I gotta go to the thread uptake. And a lot of these newer sewing machines, the thread uptake is kind of hidden, so I'm kind of guessing I'm getting it. There we go. And if you don't have it in that thread uptake, of course it's not gonna sew. And then my final thread guide, and then we're gonna go through the, whoa! Didn't get that in the thread guide, did I? I'm gonna go through the needle front to back. I don't have my glasses on, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the automatic needle threader. And that's my little finger there. I need to catch that hoop. There we go. And there's my loop. And that was easy, yay. So top loading machines, which most people have nowadays, when you drop it in, you pull the thread, and if that's spinning clockwise, it's in upside down. You're gonna wanna take that back out, flip it over. It needs to go around this little tension thing here. And if I have a thread cutter, that's the last thing I need to do. But I'm gonna show you how to go fishing for that in case you don't have that thread cutter. So fishing for your bottom thread, you hold on to your top thread, turn your hand wheel always towards you. You always turn that hand wheel towards you, never away from you. And then you pull it, and there is your fish. Lift your presser foot, both threads underneath the foot and towards the back, and that's how you start sewing. So to make a seam, you're gonna wanna have your tension set in a normal zone, which is for this machine is 4. You're gonna wanna have your needle centered on this machine, that's 4. For the width, I'm going to want to have a stitch length of 2.5, and I'm gonna wanna be in my straight stitch. So if I look on my stitch selector here, my straight stitch is 2, and I am in that. So if I have my straight stitch, 2.5, needle centered, normal tension, everything's threaded, I'm ready to sew a seam. So the first thing we do when we sew a seam is you're gonna sew through at least 2 layers of fabric, otherwise there's no such thing as a seam. You're gonna fold it, well actually with this one we're gonna fold it in half, but you're gonna line your raw edges up, whether it be this fold or 2 pieces of fabric. You can pin this, and let me grab a pin here. I forgot to have some pins close by, but we're gonna pin this. And when you pin, you want to pin perpendicular to your seam. I'm not a huge fan of pinning, and there is a whole book written on how to sew without pins, and I could have wrote that one, I'm telling you. So I'm going to put this underneath the foot. I have a seam guide here that says 1/2 inch. This particular strap, I gave us a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so I'm going to line up the right edge of my fabric with that 1/2 inch seam allowance, drop my presser foot, turn my hand wheel till my needle's in. I'm looking at it. Do I like how everything is? I think it's okay. I'll do 2 stitches forward, and then I'm going to do reverse to kind of knot it off. Then I'm going to pull this first pin because I don't want to sew over my pins. And I'm going to watch the edge of my fabric, not the needle. The needle will hypnotize me. I'll end up in the middle of my fabric, so I'm watching that I line this up. Pull my next pin. Whoa, there it goes. And I'm lining my fabric up. And my job is to guide it. I'm not pushing, I'm not pulling. I'm kind of slightly pulling between the back and the front while I'm doing this. It's a really light, just to keep the fabric flat, and so it doesn't shift while I sew. But I'm not fighting the feed dogs. I'm just guiding it through. Every once in a while I'm going to stop and adjust my fabric. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to back tack a couple stitches, turn my hand wheel till it's in the highest, my needle's in the highest position, lift my presser foot, pull this out, cut my threads off, and I've got a seam, a 1/2 inch seam. So this one I'm gonna flip inside out with this loop turner. You can get these at the sewing supply store. You can get them online from Wawak. It's got a little hook here. I'm hooking the fabric. I make this look easy, but I've done this a million times. And you kind of just pull this over the top and you slide this through, and you have a strap ready to be pressed. So that is a seam and a strap.